Howdy folks, and welcome back to this Let's Play of Hearts of Iron number 4. Currently we're playing, of course, as the fascist form of South Africa. Let's see where we actually are standing at the moment. As you can see, we basically got two armies exercising. So basically increasing the skill level of those two armies. Now we got some messages here. One of those says we don't have a template. And that's we don't have a template for, I believe, the one with the light tanks. So we're producing tanks, but we're not doing anything with them yet. But we do have an issue here in terms of, it looks like we got an issue here in terms of, rubber. So we need some rubber to be able to accommodate that. Now, who could actually provide us with some? Ideally, I want to basically do this with a party who is not going to abandon us in the future. So let's do that with Holland. I'm putting my good faith in them. Let's again double check. We are working on the support Ossenbrandwag, which will take about 70 days or so to complete. Let's see how we get through this. So let's just kick up the game speed again. I'm not too concerned about the fact that we basically got no template here. Let's have a quick look at our research. We should be completing motorized relatively shortly. We still get a boost here from various different items. One of those is Commonwealth Research. We're still getting a boost from now. Electronics companies, again, we're getting a boost from that in terms of electronics research, that is. And armor research time is also reduced by 10%. And air research is also reduced by 10%. So that's having an impact upon the tank here, as well as, of course, the Hawker Hurricane. And we are about to complete here the motorized. And let's actually have a look at the details here. So we can actually move on to one of the next items. We are in 1938 already. So we can actually move on to, for example, these support weapons here. Let's actually improve our main weapons first. Okay, we stand at 40 now. So what are we spending any effort on at the moment? Looks like the British like us a lot. Hungarians are okay. Now, who do we like a lot? We haven't really got much other than, some of those parties at the moment. Now, the tanks were just completed. Good. That's the first type of tank. That's the Matilda that we just worked on. I don't think I want to go for the heavies, really. I really want to focus more on the lighter tanks and maybe the mediums later on. But the Tortoise here would be far too heavy for us. So do we want to do anything in terms of, for example, artillery? Now, I think it might actually be beneficial to get some artillery research done here. We get a reduction here from the Commonwealth. What else could I basically focus my efforts on here? That's 1940. We could maybe get some special forces here. Don't really think that's worth the effort at the moment, but okay, let's have a look at basically our naval stuff. So we could maybe go for a new type of destroyer, the 1936 class of destroyer, but I really want to focus more on the land warfare and the air warfare. We're already focusing on the fighter here, so that's fine. What we do need to do something about maybe is engineering. Anything in engineering here? We can actually go for the radar detection. Enables radar stations, or we can actually go for the computing here, which actually would benefit our research speed. Currently in March, so probably by the end of the year we'll have that completed. We've got outdated equipment in production, so we're actually going to switch over to the newer version here, which actually is going to be used for reinforcements. We're going to do the Matilda LP. Now, if I look at my actual logistics here, you'll notice that, of course, we do already have some light tanks in there. We currently have a deficit of 117 units. That's what it says. That means, of course, we are currently working on recruiting and producing a number of these. Alright, let's kick up that game speed again. Currently, of course, we stand at 13. Is that world tension is 31%. Anschluss has occurred, which of course means that the German Reich has expanded with Austria, or what used to be Austria. It's now part of the German Reich. Let's again check our resource requirements. Sorry, resource requirements for production. Do we need any rubber here? No, we don't anymore. Actually, we still need it for the planes. Okay, I thought we needed it for the tanks here, but we don't need it for the tanks. It's only for the planes that we need it. So in terms of trade, we got a decent sized surplus here on rubber. The biggest surplus really is on chromium, and we're exporting a fairly decent amount already. I'd love to be able to export more, but yeah, there's no options around that at the moment. Alright, what kind of impact will this have? This will have an impact upon factory output, which will increase foreign subversion activities, efficiency is reduced, effective partisans on us is brought down to -10, and dockyards output will also increase. Good. So research, anything we're completing shortly, the 53 days will be actually coming back, and of course jumping back home here. Any other recruitment that's going on? No, it's only those actual tank units that we're actually working on at the moment. The armored units, I should really say, and if we look at the actual breakdown of that, that's of course regular infantry we're using for that as opposed to anything else. Now it might be beneficial if I actually add a queue here of not necessarily armored units. Oh, actually, that's before we do anything else. Pause the game for just a second. We of course completed that support Ossenbrandwag. And we can now actually support Naziism of Southwest Africa. So what that will do, it'll actually give an impact of 20% support for the GNP. It's more autonomous than colony and controls Southwest Africa. Okay, mutually exclusive with South Africa first. So actually I need to make a choice here. Which of these two? Ultimately must be true. Not fighting war on the side of... okay. So effects. National South Africa becomes free. And we leave the allies. Can create faction. Political powers increased. And what does this do? Right, what does this do exactly? Right, native. So is that selectable? We can actually start it. So it's either the one or the other. Complete one of the following. Native Law Amendment Act, which is that one up there. And what's this going to do? It's going to say gain national spirit. Fort Tracker Monument, which grants national unity plus 7%. Daily autonomy progress is increased. I think that's a good one because that actually gives me a choice between. Have I just chosen that? Yeah, it gives me a choice between either this one or that one later on. So I can actually bypass this one here and still make that choice here. So support German coup. What's that gonna do? It is a civil war will break out between fascist nationalists in Southwest Africa and the democratic unionists in the rest of the country. Okay. Commemorate the Battle of Blood River. Fort Tracker Monument will recruitment population. Ooh, okay, that's a good one to have. But the German scientists here, that's an amazingly good one to have, I think. That's good. So we get the research benefits of the Germans there. Support Axis interests. Control. So we need to basically control Rhodesia, Tankar. Okay, some of those other parties around there. Anyways, Ossenbrandwag is the latest one we have added to the list here. History of segregation. Let's actually get that clock running again. So where is Rhodesia? So that one is one of the ones we need to control. I think this is Rhodesia here. Gee, Rhodesia is pretty big, isn't it? What's the last one there that we need to control for this one here? Tanganyika. That's this one, I guess. No, that's Mozambique. Tanganyika, is that somewhere up here? Yeah, so I basically need to take over that British territory over here, it looks like, as being the goal. Let's actually have a look at how our armies are doing. Now, these are standing at regular. And we don't seem to be advancing beyond that. So, This is this one here. We are going to stop the exercising. And we are actually going to look at this one here. We're going to stop the exercising as well. We are all at regular level now. And basically me stopping exercising should actually help me increase my logistics position, because we're going to be utilizing less resources now. Okay, increase that clock speed again. The next item, as you see, is actually, of course, that plane research that we just completed, hurricanes, and we should be able to then, of course, start building those units. So it still says that we're basically building those outdated units. So let's actually upgrade this to that new fighter here, which is the Hurricane. Sorry, is it the correct one I just chose? Yep, it is the Hurricane, which is the fighter number 1. New item of research we can choose. Now, I don't think in the fighters here we actually have any benefits. I don't want to basically go for the Sea Gladiator. I do want to basically see how we can actually help support our troops here. So what can we do? Flying formation, I don't think that's one of the ones we want to go for. Strategic destruction, I don't want to do. Operational integrity, I really want to basically do more interception options. So air superiority, fighter detection, ground support, intercept mission efficiency. Air superiority is increased with this one here. I think this might be the one. By improving how close air support interacts with divisions, we may lay waste to enemy divisions with optimal support. Okay, ground support and regular bombing. And this one really gives me air support, mission efficiency, air superiority. Agility is increased with this one. And this one then leads to bombers, which I'm not really that keen on. Whereas this one leads to interception. Do I want to go down any of these routes here now? I might actually want to go and see what I can do here in terms of production on this queue, but that's 1938. I'd like to be able to do something more related to my own era at the moment, which might actually be that support weapon here. So let's go for that one at the moment. See how we do with that. And we can actually modify our government, as we can see. We can add a political advisor here. Captain of industry. Construction speed will be increased. What else could we do? We could actually basically division speed increase. Here we could maybe get a screening or armor division attack, naval strike. No, we're going to leave those as they stand. Bad weather penalty is reduced. Now we don't really have an issue with bad weather, do we? Military theorist increases army experience gain on a daily basis, or air experience gain. I think I might actually want to go for this one. But what else could we do at the top here? We can actually maybe change our recruitable population. So at the moment we're getting a plus 2.5%. Now we could actually increase that here. Training time is increased. Extensive conscription. As you can see, a really limited population here at the moment, which is at the moment only giving me really limited numbers, isn't it? Only getting about half of that total number. So if we can jump this from 2.5 up to 5%, that would be a nice outcome already. Now it will increase my training time, but I think that's actually worth it. So as you can see, we jump straight up to 190,000, which will be a good increase of those numbers. Right, let that clock run again. There's not really that much going on in this particular region here, but we can of course set ourselves some nice targets here. So what's the issue they are having? Division belongs to an army but has no orders assigned to it. Yes, okay, that's fine. Let's maybe for this particular army here start creating a front line. create that front line there. Yeah. So this guy here. Division belongs to army but has no orders assigned. Okay. Do I want to start training up some troops? I could as well, couldn't I? Let's have a look. This is a really weak one. I don't want to do the brigades. I really want to go for more the division design if I can. What can I give it? I can actually maybe give him some engineering company or recon company here. Recon of course helps quite nicely. And of course I can then update this district force to actually have that as part of its core. Right, if I now basically train, let's say the district force here, let's say I start with 2 of them, 3 of each. Let's see how those numbers go. Okay, that should do quite nicely for the moment being. If I look at my logistics here, I've got support equipment, as you can see at the moment. We do have a surplus of that at the moment as well. In terms of production, I do see, of course, there is opportunities here for us to increase this. Efficiency is increasing, as you see. But I actually might want to basically assign a second one. Ooh, good. So we actually have completed this one here. So let's pause the timeline here for a second. So look at the details here. It's no effect. Change in the world situation may affect this later on. So, okay. So that's the Vortrekker monument. So there's no effects of that at the moment. And this one here should increase my recruitable population. So, have I met all the criteria for that? No. Supports Nazification of Southwest Africa, which is this one here. So that's a secondary requirement. What does that lead to? It basically gives me 2 additional building slots. Add military factories to Southwest Africa, 2 land forts, 2 air bases and 1 naval base. Oh, okay, that seems to be an interesting one. So how does that distinguish itself from this one here though? Actually this one here, support the German ones, that basically requires a few items to be done. How can I bypass that? Oh, it actually allows me to bypass it somehow. Do I want to bypass that? Not necessarily. Requires support notification of... If I do this one here instead... Actually, I'll basically go for this one. It gives me nice additions here in Southwest Africa. Southwest Africa, which is this section here. And I do want to basically place additional troops there. So once those troops have completed their training and everything, it'll take a while, but once we actually have done that, it should take us to the next level. So July of 1938. So what's the next one I want to focus in on? Now I want to basically focus in on some of those support troops here. I want to basically increase my logistics because, yeah, logistics is an important one for me. I haven't actually got that many resources at my disposal, so if I basically can somehow improve the logistics of the individual units, so much the better. We've actually completed here our computing, so that actually allows us to do decryption here. So that should be a nice boost as well once we actually have fully completed that. So we've got a transport unit here. Let's maybe add an extra unit or maybe even 2 to the queue. So where do I want to add these by default? Let's actually have a brief look at the terrain. What kind of terrain have we got here? This is desert terrain, that's desert terrain, plains, desert, plains, plains, mountains. So there's quite a bit of different terrain at our disposal here. I really need to get some desert equipment or anything of that sort. So let's for the moment set that deployment to be in Pretoria. Same with the actual tank units here. In terms of logistics, how many tanks have we got? Well, we got a number of them. We're not building that many a day, are we? We're basically building 0.2 a day. So I'll actually say, instead of doing 2 for the tanks, let's build just the 1. We don't have enough equipment to train. Yeah, I agree with that. But what else could we do? We are basically doing 2 point something a week. And of course, if we do that German Nazification, then we basically get additional factories in this region here. That will actually help in terms of the output. Now, where are we in terms of production? We are still working on lots of here extra civilian factories, as you can see. There's one more to be done. Then we're doing some infrastructure. More infrastructure, and ultimately we're doing dockyards and then more factories. I think I'm actually going to push those factories up, because the factories themselves will actually help me in terms of producing the subsequent items. Modifying the government is again one of my options. And this will probably be one of the last changes I'll make here before we shift. Now, what am I going to do here? Service by requirements is one of the options I could actually shift to now. What will that have in terms of consequences? The factory output will be reduced. So I guess for the moment I'm going to keep it where that one is. So I'm not going to touch that. Export focus is fine for the moment being. Resources to market. Research time is reduced if we do that one. So is free trade one of the ones I want to go for? I think that would actually be beneficial, wouldn't it? So free trade will actually benefit us quite nicely. That then tells us we got insufficient resources of which type. We need more steel. Because we are exporting. Now that's funny. That basically should tell us that we need to start importing it because we're exporting too much now. Okay. So we need some steel. Can we actually get some steel from Germany maybe? So we actually got a surplus of 3 now. We got a surplus of 43 in terms of chromium, but this of course does give us quite a nice boost in terms of factories that we got at our disposal. Now I'll show you that in just a second. In the meantime, let's first actually look at, for example, our land doctrine. So we can basically go for maximum planning. So we got stuff involved in this one here already. I think it makes sense for us to really try to stick with this one here. So free trade is giving us a boost. We are, if we can just check this briefly here, in terms of dominion, we are getting close to becoming being able to get free. Where is the change level at the moment? It is, we basically are producing extra. And we should see the support Nazification of Southwest Africa, one of the key things as well. Now, where are we politically at the moment? We are standing at 55.32%. Now, there is a change in the popularity on a daily basis of 0.02 because of one of our ministers here, which is this one here. I'm just going to let the clock run a little bit longer, not too much. Ooh. There we go. The 4th International Number of Communication Delegates from around the world met in Paris today for a founding conference, laying the ground for what was known as the 4th International Calls for its formation have existed for years, with supporters of Trotsky's theories taking the lead. Stalin has responded to the growing support for Trotskyism abroad by ordering additional assassinations and increasing propaganda against his old rival. With the past surge of suspected Trotskyists in high rank of Soviet military and leadership in recent memory, this is unlikely to be met with any resistance. How many internationals will there be? Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so how close are we basically to the Nazification? We are 5 days away, and actually once we complete that, I think that's a good point for us to call it a day for this episode here. Good, let's pause the game for a second. So France and Britain has announced alliance. Calling upon the bond forged during the Great War, France has requested forming an alliance with Britain, citing unspecified threats against the stability of Europe. Today their request was approved by the British Parliament and the French have joined the alliance. Okay. So what we should now see, that we got an air base here. The Democratic supporters start a civil war. Politics will change. GNP becomes the ruling party. Well, that had already happened. So in that sense, that's perfectly fine. And from here, we can now actually say we want to do... Well, we cannot do this one because we're not part of the German, not allied with the German Reich yet. Same goes for this one, we cannot do, but we can actually now focus in on this one, which will allow us to increase our recruitable population. But before I do that, let's actually have a look at the other options here. There's loads of options here. Now we've actually invested into this tree here quite nicely already. So we got this one here already. Let's go for that atomic energy board. I'm not even sure why I would want to do that, but okay. Anything to maybe increase the recruitable population here? I don't see any options on here. Special forces, mechanized efforts, armor. Transvaal gets 2 air bases. That's an interesting one. Improve the Holker Heartbees. Huh. Interesting ones here. Retrain, okay. Desert Air Force. One building slot at one naval dockyard. Disrupt trade. That one would make sense, wouldn't it? Trade interdiction. Thing that I need to then do, of course, is I need to basically get some more focus. I think getting that additional slot here would really be handy. Anyways, like I said, we're going to call it a day. So I'm actually going to make sure that the game is saved. It is saved, as you can see already. But in the meantime, I'd like to say again, thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.